How's it going, guys? Cameron here, it's Canadian Gamer. Now, today's video, it's going to be a VR, a video response to a channel called the Geek Getaway. You can take a look at his channel on YouTube. He's also got a website as well where he does video game reviews. I think it's called thegeekgetaway.com, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely worth checking out. The reason why I'm doing this video response, he posted a video, I want to say last night, and the video in question was titled 5 Memorable Video Games from My Childhood. So it was a real good video, and I thought I would do a response to it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of games from my childhood, so for me to narrow it down to just 5 games, it was pretty difficult. So what we'll do here, we'll get started at number 5, and this is actually a game that he had on his list as well. And that's Pro Wrestling for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, Pro Wrestling, any of you guys or gals out there that have played this game, oh my god. This was one of the first games I had on the NES. Again, it might not be the best wrestling game on that console, but it's definitely the one I had growing up. And I could just remember playing this for hours and hours and hours. And the characters were memorable. You had Amazon, Starman. Oh my god. What could be said about this game? I used to play this, I must have been 5 years old at the time, 6 years old. I used to play this with the neighbors, and the game was difficult. I knew all the special moves. I would play this game all day and all night. So I know, looking back on it, Pro Wrestling might be considered maybe one of the weaker games on the Nintendo, but believe you me, back in the day, when your parents bought you a video game and you only had a handful of games, even if it was a bad game, you'd find a way to make it enjoyable. And Pro Wrestling was one of those games. Apparently, there is like an end boss or an end guy that you can get to that you can fight. As far as I'm aware, I never got that far into the game, but it'd be interesting to kind of revisit this game now. And great memories from Pro Wrestling on the NES. The next game is coming in at number 4, and it's a game that, as far as I'm aware, doesn't get enough love. Again, we're going with another Nintendo Entertainment System game, and that's NES Open. Now, this has got to be one of the greatest golf games ever made. Now, with this game here, it's actually one of the few games, in my opinion, that I can go back and still play on the NES that doesn't feel extremely dated. That and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But NES Open, again, going back to the early 90s, my father bought this for us brand new. And the interesting thing about this game is even after our family bought the Super NES back when we lived in Niagara Falls, fast forward to around 1995, 1996. Even though our family kept the Super NES upstairs in the living room, because that was obviously the premium console in the household, the NES was always kicking around in the basement, and we didn't have a fully finished basement. We had one that was pretty well unfinished, but there was a couple of chairs down there and an old CRT TV. And a lot of times, me and my father would go down there, and we would actually sit there and play NES Open. That was the game me and him would play. He wouldn't really touch the Super NES, but we would go down in the basement and we would play NES Open. And playing that couch co-op, one of the best experiences growing up. I can remember, this is how much I played this game. I can actually, to this day, remember most of the holes on each of the courses. I remember the US Open was the easiest course, and then you had Japan and UK. Interesting enough, if you bought this game and if you had the Japanese version of this game, apparently it had another course as well. But yeah, NES Open, fantastic game. It's as fun today as it was back then. So that's coming in at number 4. Number 3, I kind of cheated a little bit here. I've put on here the original Alone in the Dark series for the PC. Now, I still have my original CD-ROM discs for the series. It's like a 3-pack, if you will. So a lot of you guys out there probably haven't heard of this game, but this was like basically before there was Resident Evil, there was Alone in the Dark. And when I had originally played this game, it was on an old like a 3.5 inch diskette. Shareware is what we would call it. You buy it at the dollar store, and you could bring it home and you could put it into your computer and play a couple of minutes of the game to get a taste of it. Well, eventually I ended up getting the full version of Alone in the Dark. And man, this game was quite the experience back in the day. Again, this was way back in the day, like 1995, 1996. And this game plays out very much like Resident Evil. This one has very early polygonal animation in it, but it's really good. And it's a creepy ass game. And this is where you're starting Edward Carnby, I believe his name is, or you could play as the female, and you're exploring the Derceto Mansion. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Derceto. Man, oh man, Resident Evil owns a lot to this series. It's a shame that nobody talks about this game anymore. I also played through Alone in the Dark 2 back in the day, which is even better than Alone in the Dark. And Alone in the Dark 3 as well, a fantastic game. And there's even a bonus game. It's Christmas inspired. It's called Jack in the Dark. So yeah, the Alone in the Dark series. Not sure if you can get these on GOG.com. But my God, these games were a big part of my childhood. Good Lord. Coming in at number 2, SimCity 2000. Now, again, we're talking like mid-90s here. I remember when my family moved up towards the Ottawa region, a lot of the schools had what's called French immersion. So like an hour out of the day, all the students would basically go to the French classroom, and the teacher would speak French and teach everything in French. Well, that's fine if you grew up in this area and you're somewhat fluent in that language. French is kind of like learning to swim. You got to learn at a young age. Not always the case, but a lot of times that's the case. Obviously, coming from Niagara Falls, I didn't speak a lick of French, along with another student in the classroom as well. So we got exempted from French immersion. And for that hour, me and this other kid in the class, we were put in this room with a computer, and we were supposed to, quote unquote, sit there and look at things, all things educational purposes on the computer, and get kind of like a class, like a course credit for it. So what the teacher didn't know is there's actually some video games that were installed on this computer. So nobody was really watching over us. There was a point-and-click adventure on the computer called Simon the Sorcerer, which we played a hell of a lot of. But there was also a game called SimCity 2000. And oh my God, we used to play that game like it was nobody's business. So SimCity 2000, it's basically a game where you're in control of like this. You got like a landscape, and it starts off you're putting different buildings on the landscape, like a hospital, residential areas, trees, roads. You look after all the infrastructure. You start putting power lines up. Money starts coming in so you can build more infrastructure. And then it gets to the point, it gets kind of difficult. You start laying down water pipes as well, and you're getting the water system to work inside. You're building a city, basically. And while you're building the city becomes under attack by all kinds of things, like airplanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, aliens. It was just, back in the day, it was just an incredible game. And I used to love just starting off from scratch. You could bulldoze the map, and you could sort of build it however you wanted to build it. And, once you start putting down the roads, you start seeing cars on the roads. Again, if you didn't put up enough power grids, people would be without power. And then, if you didn't look after the city, you get fired as the mayor. It was just unbelievable to play that game back in the day. I don't know if those games are still being made. I think there was a SimCity 3000 at one point. But yeah, that was a big part of my childhood, was SimCity 2000. Back in the day, everybody and their mother had that game. It was a very popular game back in the day. So coming in at number 1, we got 2 games here. I'm kind of cheating again. We've got a game called Dragon Sphere and Return of the Phantom two point-and-click adventures created by a company called Microprose. So again, around 1996, 1997, it was commonplace to go to Radio Shack, Kmart, Zellers. Back then, we didn't really have Walmart in Canada, not yet. And you could find bargain bins full of PC games. As Metal Jesus likes to refer to them as big box PC games. And I was on a huge point-and-click adventure kick. I love point-and-click adventures. And these two games here were really special. Dragonsphere, it kind of took place in medieval times. The graphics in these games were rotoscoped, very similar to the game Out of This World or Flashback. So Dragonsphere, again, point-and-click adventure. I'm not going to get too far into that one, but it's really good story. But Return of the Phantom was actually the one that I really loved because it put a spin on the story of the Phantom of the Opera. In Return of the Phantom, he stars this character, Raoul, a French name, obviously, Ruel. And, you're attending the play, The Phantom of the Opera. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, but something goes terribly wrong. I think there's a phantom that comes from the rafters and kills somebody and takes off. And the next thing you know, you're involved in this huge murder mystery. And it's a game of cat and mouse where you're trying to track down this phantom that has returned to the opera. And then eventually you make your way into the catacombs. And then you're underground and you're in the sewers. It's just an incredible game. Fantastic storyline. I think both of these games are actually on goodoldgames.com. So definitely worth a download. As a matter of fact, I might go on there tonight and download both Dragonsphere and Return of the Phantom. That's how much these games mean to me. They were absolutely incredible. As far as point-and-click adventures are concerned, I know a lot of people don't talk about these two games, but they're high on the pecking order for me. They're right up there with Broken Sword, The Smoking Mirror. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me. I just wanted to do a video response to the Geek Getaways video, which I did enjoy. And I want to sort of mention 5 games from my early childhood that I remember and look back on fondly. So that's going to do it for me. What about you guys? Do you guys have any older games that you remember playing, throughout your childhood? Please leave in the comments below. I'd love to hear some of the older games that you guys remember playing and some of your experiences as well. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Real short video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.